Colourful. Sonia Ponian on Colourful Radio.
Good morning, Manj.
Good morning, Sonia.
Let me just read your bio out. Let me tell people about you. Okay, so Manj is one of the most successful coaches in the UK. And he is the creator of the success system called the Merlin Approach. Now, many of you this morning have sent me messages saying, what is the Merlin? What is the Merlin Approach? What is the Merlin Approach? Well, the creator himself is sat right in front of me, and he is going to tell you everything about it. All right. I've lost my track. Right. So, he's the creator of the success system called the Merlin Approach and the business alchemy. He is also a transformational keynote speaker, best-selling author, and co-producer of the series of audiobooks published by the BBC. Manj is a visiting speaker to the London Business School and has also consulted for peers from the UK House of Lords on the areas of mindfulness and leadership. Manj W, welcome to Colourful Radio. What is the first step? It's seven-step system. What is the first step in the Merlin Approach?
Right, the first step, and for those who are listening who have maybe read a few personal development things or goal setting, etc., these are going to sound similar. Mm-hmm. I promise you, though, I've got a particular twist on each one, because people sabotage their outcomes and their success at every step.
Wow.
Okay?
Every step.
Because once you understand how the mind actually works, you get to understand the subtleties involved. So the first step is clearly set your outcome. Okay. Now, people can actually sabotage their goals whilst setting them. How about that? Exactly.
How?
Because the mind, and I'll give you the quick version.
Yeah.
Let me give you the solution first. When you set an outcome, and obviously this will be...
He's starting from the end and he's going back. Go ahead.
Well, the legend of Merlin was that he thought backwards. See,
okay.
Most people, to frame this for you, most people think, I need to set a goal.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wishy-washy thinking gives you wishy-washy results. You don't just set a goal. The great achievers that have basically shaped this planet, the men and women who have really made unbelievable strides and created quantum leaps of success, never really set a goal. They got obsessed with something.
Oh, okay.
You know, they lived in the end outcome and worked backwards from it.
Yeah.
So my advice to people is not to move towards something, but to go to the end outcome and come out of it.
Yeah.
So, for example, Thomas Edison, when he invented the incandescent light bulb, he was so obsessed with getting this right that he would hardly sleep or eat. And when his wife was interviewed, she had to pull him out the lab for him to eat a sandwich and take a nap. He used to have a chaise longue just outside his lab. He'd nap an hour or two and go straight back in.
Yeah.
See, most people think, I'll set a goal and then take a tiny bit of action and it would tend to come about. So with the outcome, do two things. You ask yourself two questions to make sure you're not sabotaging this. First question is this. If you achieved this outcome, what will it give you?
Right.
And the second question is, if you achieve this outcome, what will it not give you? So other than the goal you're going for itself, what else will it give you and what will it not give you? So I'll give you a quick example.
Yes.
Why this can sabotage someone.
Yes.
And let's say a woman wants to lose weight.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say she takes the weight off. And let's say she gets a lot of male attention that she never had before. And then decides she doesn't want that. Because earlier in her life, for example, she may have got male attention that she didn't appreciate.
Right.
So the mind then says, I'll tell you what, I'm going to protect you by putting on some weight. So when you go to the point of losing it, I'm going to make sure you put it back on again.
I see.
And that's the mind causing a yo-yo effect. Doesn't matter what the person might eat. They might get into great shape, but then they find themselves sabotaging their results and then going back to putting on weight again. It's also the case with making money in some cases. So those two questions can help clarify at a deeper level and to make sure that you don't sabotage even at setting the goal.
So we're actually speaking to the subconscious mind.
That's it. And the mind is fundamentally made up of two elements. The conscious mind, which makes you aware of your current experience. Yeah. So you can hear us on the radio at the moment. So through the modality of hearing, that's one sense, you take in that information. Yeah. The unconscious is the powerhouse. It represents the powerhouse. It represents 95% as a minimum, 95% of your mind power. And it holds everything else. Everything that's ever happened to you.
Okay. And so it replays it? Does it replay it?
It replays it all the time. Second step is to stretch the outcome. Okay. In fact, make it bigger.
So how do you make it bigger?
So if you say, this time next year, I'm going to be earning 20% more, well, make it 50. Okay. Right? You want to excite your mind cells. Your mind has got to be excited. Most people set goals that are too small and it bores their own mind. It doesn't lead them into action because it's too small. Coming back to the men and women who've shaped this planet, they all had, incredibly big goals. Coming back to Edison, his goal wasn't to create an incandescent light bulb. His outcome was to put a mini sun in every house around the world.
Is it?
Now that was a massive goal.
A mini sun.
Gandhi wanted the British out of India. Yeah. Peacefully. Massive goal. So if you think about the people who actually really had quantum leaps in success, we wouldn't arguably be having this interview in the fashion we're having if it wasn't for Marconi, who discovered radio waves. Okay. He actually said back in the day that there are these invisible radio waves, and one day there's going to be a signal from across the Atlantic and we're going to see a little man in a brown box. Yeah. And he had that vision. And his fellow scientists were so excited by that, they had him incarcerated in a mental institution.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. So if it wasn't for these types of people who had immense goals, so that's what I would suggest. Just do it for a bit of fun. Yeah. Okay, so stretch your outcome, step 2. Step 3 is what I call the deadly mistake. The deadly mistake. Oh. Everyone makes this, irrespective of what level of success they're at. Yeah. So you may be running a business which is already doing a great turnover. Yeah. If you want to take it to the next level, don't assume something, and that's the deadly mistake. People assume that they can have a level of success that they want using the same mindset, using the same thinking. You've got to change your thinking.
Is that Albert Einstein? He said something like that, didn't he?
Albert Einstein. I call it the Einstein warning. Okay. He didn't issue it as a warning. No one's going to die. So it's not quite deadly, but it's deadly enough to scupper your future success. What Einstein basically said was that the major problems that we face in the world today cannot be solved using the same level of thinking we were at when we created the problems in the first place, which is basically having the wrong mindset. Yeah.
Okay. So that is the deadly mistake. And sorry, what was that's the deadly mistake, and how do they overcome that?
Great question. Yeah. How you overcome the deadly mistake is a lot's been made about in the personal development world about belief structure. A lot of successful people, be it in sports or entertainment or business, would say you have to have belief. So the massive question is, how do you get more belief? And what I found in my personal development journey personally is a lot of the stuff that we're shown is great and it has probably worked for the person, but it doesn't seem to be sustainable. It doesn't seem to be sustainable for the average person. So one quick fire way is we operate from our memories, and the way we file memories are absolutely vital to our belief structure. Okay. So the one thing we can do, and this is a quick exercise, okay, because I know we don't have a lot of time, is to start writing out all your successful memories from as far back as you can remember. Wow. And just start a little journal. Yeah. You may have...
Okay, do a journal, yeah.
You may have won the 10 yards dash age 6 years old. Yeah. Okay. You may have been given the biggest birthday present ever, all the way through to passing exams, driving tests, getting married, or the first date you went on.
Yeah. First kiss.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Anything and then what do we do with that?
Just write it down, okay? And then dwell on the memories that kind of jump out at you a little bit.
The memories or the feelings?
The memory, and then dwell on it and make sure that you exaggerate the emotional feeling. I have a system I use with my clients called top drawer memories.
Right.
And in order to get them into the top drawer, you have to get emotional about them.
Right.
Now, where I draw the line is don't be over emotional about everything, because some studies show that if you're over emotional, it doesn't actually help you in terms of certain types of success. For example, business.
Okay. So when you say over emotional, do you mean like with that zest, with that zeal, or positive energy or negative energy?
It more negative. Okay. So it might sound obvious for people to hear, well, don't go down the route of negative emotion. Actually, that's a very good point, because most people can't control their thinking, and therefore they end up going down a certain route that their thoughts dictate. Step 4. So we've overcome the deadly mistake by rearranging memories, by controlling the mini-me voice. Okay. You have to give it a new job description. Very, very powerful. Step 4 is whatever the goal is or the outcome, you've got to imprint it.
That's the best bit. Oh,
you've got to imprint it onto your autopilot.
Yes.
Because your autopilot, which is the unconscious mind, has got a job description. Its job description is to lead out your life. And your life has already been preconditioned ever since you were born. Because we would have heard about being conditioned and formative learnings where, whatever our parents say, grandparents, teachers, whatever we've been advertised to goes in at the deeper level of the mind. We operate from that. It's the autopilot response. And neuroscience has now caught up with psychology. Freud, 150 years ago, said we're puppets of the unconscious mind. So neuroscience in recent years have basically said, and you'll like this, for 95% of the time, we are operating off autopilot.
Okay, so how autopilot just sporadically,
That's it. So if we can imprint into the autopilot, the unconscious mind, what it is we want, it will lead that out.
How do we imprint it?
Okay. That's the $64 million question. There are lots of different ways to imprint, and you would have come across several of these. Okay. For example, you can visualize. You can create what a lot of people call a dream board or a treasure map, and stick pictures up on your fridge. You've got to do it in a certain way, and always do it. The imagery has to be of it already happened. So you could stick, if you're looking to get into shape, for example, you can stick your own head on someone else's body.
That's exactly what I've done.
Okay. Now, if you don't do the previous steps, all of this stuff is just wishful thinking. Okay. So you've got to actually have all the steps covered. So another way to imprint is to give yourself an incantation. So if you're the type of person who's got that little voice that keeps going on and on and on, but not saying what you want to hear, then give yourself an incantation of the end result as if it's happened.
Can you just tell our listeners what an incantation is, please?
Absolutely.
Before they think it's a reincarnation.
So it's like just saying something to yourself over and over again as you're moving. A mantra tends to be something if you're just sat still. But either one will work.
So what's the difference between an incantation and a affirmation?
An incantation, what I would say is you're saying an affirmation whilst you're moving.
Right.
So do something when you're going for a power jog or something like that. But basically, any of those will work, from an affirmation to an incantation, just to a mantra.
And you have to do it over and over and over again.
And here's the main thing. You need to say it as if it has happened already.
Yes, not I'm going to. I am 6 stones, not I'm going to be 6 stones. I am.
So it could be, I am earning X thousand a year and thoroughly happy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Not I'm going to.
Yeah. So there is a powerful process I use with my clients, which would use all the 5 senses. However, just for simplicity now, if you visualized everything that you wanted just before you go to sleep at night, that's one of the most powerful times to do it, because you slip into unconscious and go 100% autopilot. And if it grabs onto the last piece of predominant thinking, it basically goes off and starts working on it.
This is the most important part of the show. Can you just repeat that bit again, please?
I will indeed. So if you form what it is you want in your mind as an outcome and state it as if it's happened, then just before you go to sleep, just run it like a movie in your mind and, be the star of your movie. Now, what important thing is psychological studies show you cannot see yourself in the picture. It's got to be you behind the camera. You only see yourself if you're in a reflection, because that's how memories are formed. So do that just before you go to sleep. Make it like I call it a trailer for your forthcoming success. So, when you go to the movies, you see a movie trailer, well, this is what's going to happen to you. Yeah. So it's as if it's already happened. You do it just before you go to sleep, and you can play it over and over, a little 20, 30-second trailer. Step 5. Right.
Lose the attachment. Now, what is the attachment?
Now, this is the thing. This is what I found with helping friends. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this is from my Buddhist background, which was you're told not to get attached to material things, because that leads to a craving, which then has the opposite effect of attaining what it is you want.
Righty-ho.
Okay, so I found a lot of people were worried that they weren't getting the level of success they want. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the example. So I use this example in that report I've got on my website, which is actually the Merlin Approach. Yeah. And in that kind of report, which details all these things out, I give the example of being attached is this. Mm-hmm. You buy a seedling from a nursery, mm-hmm. and you take it home and put it in a pot. You put some nice soil, put a bit of baby bio. Do you remember baby bio? Yeah. And your outcome is this plant turns into a beautiful, healthy adult plant. Mm-hmm. So you water it, you go to bed. Being attached is coming down the stairs the next morning, pulling the seedling out. Oh. Looking at it and saying, have you taken root yet? Mm-hmm. So if you're overly attached, you're just worried. You're just wondering, when is it going to happen?
Oh, I see.
And it has the opposite effect.
All right.
You basically undo all your good work.
So hold on. So that there, right, that must be very, very hard to control. Because when we set that intention, when we set that vision board or whatever it is that we want, we do want it, and we were like, oh my gosh. So how do you change that? Because that's very important, that is.
Now you see why most people in the world have average in their life. Mm-hmm. They earn an average income. Uh-huh. They have an average life. Whereas it's very few people who are living the types of lifestyle that a lot of people would aspire to live, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And I understand money isn't everything. Mm-hmm. So why it is because we become attached to having something, and we decide that our happiness is dictated by that. Mm-hmm. So we then want it so much that unconsciously the mind basically says, well, you don't have it, and moves you further away from it. Then it's a vicious circle. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the best thing I found is, can we not be attached to the end result and just be living the life in the present moment, as opposed to either, most people live it in the past or live it in the future. Mm-hmm. Whereas you should be living it right now, here in the present, being mindful of what's going on right now. Okay. And that's how you can actually help move away from the sabotaging effects of being overly attached to something.
Step number 6.
Step 6 moves with not being attached quite nicely, which is managing your state. Yeah. So it's how you turn up into the world. Yes. So if something not so great happens, can you manage that? I'm not saying being a robot, but if something not so great happens and you're knocked off, I don't know, kilter a little bit, or you've taken a step back with what you want to achieve, can you still be reasonably centered and balanced? Because if you're not, and you crumble, then it's just going to keep you further away from the type of life you want. So that's step 6, about managing your state. Yeah.
So it's not just about breathing then and your physiology.
It's a lot more than that. Those things help. Yeah. Because for those who are listening, that sometimes are prone to getting a little bit sad over something or getting stressed. As you said, Sonia, one quick way of doing this is to stand up, move around, play your favorite music, breathe deep, go for a walk around the block. Most people lead a sedentary life at work. They're just sat down all the time. Yeah. Change your physiology, and that can help with a state change. What's going to be more powerful is to change your thoughts.
Step number 7.
Now, here we have something that I found a lot of people just don't do, which is what's the point of the first 6 where you know what you want, you've got all the belief you have in the world, and then you just take no action? And often the action people take, I find, is sloppy. And so I call this step 7 is outstanding action.
Outstanding action, yep.
Is to do it at such an exquisite level that it could be the difference. It could make the difference between you and several other people. Is to take what you want and how you do something and turn it into almost like an art form.
Okay.
And to do it because you just love doing it, even if you're working for someone else. Could you turn up to work one day and turn what you do into turn it into some kind of art form? So in terms of this execution, is ask yourself, can I be doing this in a way that's different, better, more conducive to my own personal success and the success of others around me? So that's step 7.